Moving on to 22 through 25, it says find each missing length for 22 and 23. Well, both of these are right triangles, so we can use the Pythagorean theorem. In number 22, we have a leg squared, so 18 squared, plus the other leg squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared. So 18 squared is 324, and 22 squared is 484, equals c squared. We're going to add those together. So we'll take the 484 plus 324, which gives us 808 is equal to c squared. And in order to find the length of c, we're going to take the square root of both sides. So we can do the square root of 808, and that gives us approximately 28.4. And there weren't any units given, so I'll just write units. Number 23, we actually know one of the legs. So we have a squared plus 8 squared equals 17 squared. And we can work through that. We know 8 squared is 64. 17 squared, we can find that. That is 289. Subtracting 64 from both sides gives us 225. So a squared equals 225. We take the square root of both sides and we find that the value of a, or the length of a, is 15. So that was using Pythagorean theorem. To find missing sides, 24 and 25, we'll still use Pythagorean theorem to help us find the exact area of each triangle. So we want to find the exact area. So here we are at 24. We know the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Well, the base is this entire length here, so that's 12 plus 36. It's easy enough. So the base is 48 yards. We don't have the height though, and so we need to do a little bit of extra work to help us find the height. Well, the height is right here. And what we can do is we can actually look at this triangle. This is a right triangle, and we can find the height because it's one of the legs. So we can, off to the side, we'll do 12 squared plus h squared equals 18 squared. This is 144. From the problem above, we saw that 18 squared is 324. And so we can subtract 144 from both sides. And we get h squared equals, what do we have here? 0, 180. H squared equals 180. Take the square root of that. Now, for those of you who took Algebra 2 already, you should be able to simplify this. If not, we may not have learned how to do this, but square root of 180, what we try to do is we think of perfect squares that go into 180. Perfect squares are 4, because that's 2 squared, 9, because that's 3 squared. So I'm pretty sure 36 goes into 180. So what we can do is we can check. 36 is 6 squared, so that's why it's divided by 36, and that is 5. So we can rewrite the square root of 180 as the square root of 36 times the square root of 5. So h equals 6 root 5. Now, if you haven't taken Algebra 2, or if you haven't learned to simplify those, you can plug in the square root of 180 into your calculator. It is not giving the exact area like they asked, but if you don't have that skill yet, then it's tough to do. So square root of 180 is 13. So you could use this 13.42. But we are going to use 6 root 5. That's our height. didn't leave a lot of room here, so 6 root 5 goes there. That's also in yards. Sorry for cramming this together. And so now we have area equals half of 48 is 24. So 24 times 6 root 5, and 24 times 6 is 144. And we would write this is in yards squared. "25 is going to be similar. We know area is 1/2 base times height. Just zoom into this one question. So we have 1/2 the base, which is 20. The height we need to find. And what we'll need to do is, if this length is 12 and this length is 20, that means this leg over here is 8 centimeters. And so over here here's our height. Height and base are always perpendicular. So we have height squared plus the base squared, the whole base, the other leg. So the height is one of the legs of the right triangle. So h squared plus the other leg, 8 squared, is equal to the hypotenuse, which is 12 squared. So we have h squared plus 64 equals 144. We subtract 64 from both sides, and we get 80. Take the square root. And once again, we need to simplify this. The directions say exact answer. Again, if you've taken Algebra 2, even in Algebra 1, sometimes you learn this. But to simplify this, you can split this up into something that's a perfect square. 16 goes into this 5 times. So the height is 4 times the square root of 5. That can now go into our formula for the height. And then we have area equals half of 20 is 10. 10 times 4 is 40. So this is 40 times the square root of 5, and our units is centimeters squared.